Hi, everyone. My name is Todd Fryatt. I'm the CEO and founder of ECA Solar. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about some new legislation in Illinois, specifically the Clean, Reliable, and Affordability Grid Act, which is expected to be signed by Governor Pritzker in a matter of days, if not weeks. That new law will take into effect June 1st of 2026. I'm going to drill down specifically with some details for DG Solar, DG Battery when it comes to both permitting and modeling. Join along and let's hop into it. Number one, let's jump into permitting. So there was a lot of changes made in the CRGA legislation, specifically around both time bounding and cost cap associated with permitting of solar and battery facilities. Perhaps most important is on the day when you file with the authority, let's say a county, they have 60 days to conclude public hearings on that. That's 60 days to conclude public hearings from the date of the filing. Now, let's assume that filing is comprehensive and complete. And then after that 60 days, they have 30 days to issue a written decision on those hearings that were presented therein. So a lot of important timeline that affects hearings for non-ministerial permits. Could be with, let's say, a zoning board, could be with a land committee, environmental, etc. Really important to have some guardrails on permitting, both for battery and for battery storage as well as for PV. Again, we're just talking about DG for now. Number two, cost caps. And so when it comes to permitting, there is now a limit on how much the authorities with jurisdiction can charge for permit fees. Right now we have a cap. It is $5,000 per megawatt AC. Again, we're talking about DG sizes. You can do the math. Obviously, there's a max cap as well in some of this legislation, but again, it's simple enough. Also, the AHJs, such as the counties, cannot have any ordinances that are more restrictive than the CRGA when it comes to permitting. So they have to comply with the CRGA and they have to be consistent with the CRGA. In addition, they cannot have moratoriums either for solar or for DG solar or for DG batteries. When it comes to the valuation potentially of abutters, which may come up in permit hearings, there's also some new language in here that there's no guarantees that would be placed on the battery storage project or the solar project when it comes to land values of abutters. For the most part with zoning, if you're in an agricultural zone or an industrial zone, you should be permitting by right, again, with reasonable conditions applied by the local authority that has jurisdiction. For battery storage, when it comes to permitting, a few very specific and unique provisions that I want to touch upon. Number one, for fire code, we now have to comply with the NFPA 855. So that's a very important standard that every single DG battery storage project is going to have to apply with. Number two, decibel levels and acoustics. So the battery storage project will now have to comply with some administrative code from the Illinois Pollution Control Board. And so all that's got to be above water and, the line has been snapped. You know what you need to comply with. All right, let's jump into the modeling changes of the CRGA. Again, that's the Illinois Clean, Reliable, and Affordability Grid Act. So what are some of the modeling impacts of this legislation when it comes to DG BESS, when it comes to DG Solar? Let's jump into it. Number one, in my opinion, one of the most important features is auto remittance. And so moving forward, your major investment-owned utilities like Ameren, like Com Edison, will auto remit the cash value of the cash value of the subscription fee to the generation owner. And so that'll occur presumably every month. Whether or not, because it's consolidated billing, all those payments will get routed through the utility itself. And as opposed to having two different separate bills, that'll be improvement both for consumer protection as well as collections, which the utilities are used to doing, they're accustomed to doing. And so there is now an auto remittance payment feature to the generation owner from the IG utility. That's something I think is very important and will have a major impact in the industry. Number two, the administrative fees for doing this program and for paying out these subscription fees goes from 2% down to 1%. So, yeah, obviously the net value of that impact for the generation owners is going to go up, given we're going from 2 to 1%. Third, what I think is impactful for modeling when it comes to DG solar and DG battery is the way they calculate the value of decommissioning bonds and how that's posted. So number one, the value. From my reading, it's got to be tied to the AMA, the Agricultural Impact Agreement. And so the amount of the decommissioning bond and the financial surety has to be consistent with that. They can't come up with some crazy number that's not reasonable. And the way that financial surety is posted for battery only, I do not see a sister provision for PV, but for battery, effectively after 10 years of operation, you have to have, after COD, you have to have 100% of the value of that surety posted. After 5 years, you have to have 50% of that value of the decom insurance posted. It's not all upfront. It's not all before you pull the building permit for that battery system. Again, it could be a drafting error. It could be that solar is supposed to be included in that. I don't see that. It's not my reading. Let me know in the comments if you disagree. And then last but not least, when it comes to modeling in the CRGA for DG battery and DG solar, the thing that jumped out to me was for battery specifically was the time of use rates. And so 4 months after the effective date, which is effectively October 1st, the utilities have to come up with a new rate class, specifically a time of use rates for all the people out in California who are very familiar with TRU rates, but that will be presumably the go-to rate for battery storage moving forward. That rate class will be enabled again on October 1st of next year in 2026. Very eager what that looks like. There's going to be 3 different periods. One is peak period, one is off-peak period, and one is super off-peak period. So excited to see how that rate making process and how that unfolds. Thanks again. That's a wrap for permitting and modeling impacts from the CRGA in Illinois for both distributed generation solar as well as distributed battery storage scale. Thanks again.